Good morning, everybody. I hope you had a fantastic weekend and got the rest you needed. We're going to continue on today with Unit 2, Activity 3, which the slides can be found following this link, or they can all be found under the content icon, which is here. This is called your nav bar, just as a reminder, but all the slides can be found underneath here as well. What you are going to do is you're going to look through slides 23 to 44, and then you're going to work on the effective workplace etiquette discussion board and the employment rights and responsibility organizer. So let's quickly just look at what slide 23 to 44 looks like. Scrolling. So we're going to workplace etiquette. So this is really looking at being an employee who's courteous and respectful of the workplace and other employees that you work with and the employer. The first impressions are made within seconds of meeting somebody. Really read over this slide so you understand what workplace etiquette means. So what is good workplace etiquette? So looking at cell phones, we want to avoid using it during work hours for personal business. Turning phones on vibrate, especially during meetings, so ringtones don't disturb others. Making sure that if you have to speak on a cell phone, you're in a low volume so you're not disturbing others, or you're in a different space. You do not answer when work colleagues or other people are speaking to you, so you shouldn't stop a conversation to answer a phone call. And several cell phone etiquette policies that should be ingrained into us, since cell phones are part of our everyday lives now, but please read the rest of these over. Looking at telephone etiquette. So if you're in a position where you have to receive phone calls, that you're returning phone calls within 24 hours. You personalize your voicemail so it isn't just the robot voice that comes pre-designed for your voicemail. You answer back promptly, so that's as soon as you possibly can in a professional capacity. You use your professional speaking voice, so the way you talk to your friends probably shouldn't be how you talk to customers. If you have to email in your position, this is email etiquette here. Please read that over. I'm really looking at this comment by Dennis Prager. So goodness is about character, integrity, honesty, kindness, generosity, moral, courage, and the like. More than anything else, it is about how we treat other people. We're going to look at the discussion board in a minute. I'm just going to finish up the slides first. So looking at rights and responsibilities of employees, no matter where you work or what age you are protected by 4 basic rights. So the right to be treated fairly at work, the right to work in a safe and healthy workplace, the right to be trained to deal with workplace hazards, and the right to join a trade union. So these rights are ensured through several laws, one being the Canadian Human Rights Code, which protects all people against discrimination, and this is pulled right from the CHRC itself. So rights and responsibilities of employees continue. So we're looking at legislation that protects employees in other ways, such as federal laws and laws designed to protect workers in specific places, such as hospitals. So most people in Ontario, however, are protected by 4 acts, whereas in hospitals, there's a little bit more to it. This is a link here looking at the organizer, which we will look at in a minute. I know here it says to upload to your student portfolio. We're not doing that. So workplace violence and harassment, this is really important to know because workplace violence or harassment can happen in any job, at any job site, in any under any work umbrella. So we need to protect workers from workplace violence and harassment, and it's regulated. Wow, that was hard. Regulated by the OHSA. Every employee has the right to work in a safe place without fear of violence and harassment, and workplace violence can be grouped into 4 categories: criminal activity, client, employee-related, or personal relationships. Criminal activity includes violence such as theft, hostage taking, physical assault by a person not connected to the workplace. The majority of violent incidents in the workplace are due to clients who harm employees by committing violent acts. Employee-related violence creates an unhealthy workplace. because the violence is between coworkers. In this type of violence, the incidents are often repeated and involve an imbalance of power between the perpetrator and the victim, really setting off a unkilter dynamic within the workplace. Personal relationships can intrude on the workplace when a family member commits a violent act against an employee. So, looking at something like domestic violence, emotional and physical trauma from workplace violence affects everyone. There is a video here. Please watch it. If you just click it, it takes you to the YouTube link. So it should open it up just like that. It's really short. It's 4 minutes long. So please watch that in your own time just to really understand how to prevent workplace violence and harassment. So looking at research, it shows that workers who are bullied are unproductive between 10 to 52% of their work time, which isn't the best or helpful. They spend time, which then can really affect being a valuable employee. So going back to what we were talking about in our last section about having valuable skills, if you're dealing with violence in the workplace or bullying, and it could affect how you do your job, which then makes you a less valuable employee. They spend time defending themselves or finding support, thinking about the situation, coping with stress, and taking sick leaves due to stress-related illness. OHSA defines workplace violence as any act of physical force or attempted act of physical force against a worker that could cause injury. Threat of injury is also considered workplace harassment. This is the definition of harassment. Please read this over so you understand it in order to be able to do the two activities. And then finally, what to do about harassment. So if you experience it as a victim or a bystander, you need to report the incident. Employers and supervisors and unions all have a legal obligation to prevent and address harassment under OHRC. If the employer does not comply with OHSA requirements, you could call the Ontario Health and Safety Contact Center and make a complaint saying that your employer isn't standing up for you, that this is happening. And you can remain anonymous if you wish. The ministry can then visit the workplace and assess. And if there's an emergency situation, there are threats or actual violence, you should always contact the police. So what you are going to do today is you're going to look at the discussion board post. So you do need to do some research. So you will need to cite your source or sources in APA format. If you can't remember how to do it, please go back to the prior APA practice we did at the beginning of the semester. So you do need an in-text citation as well as a reference. If those are not included, you will be deducted significant marks. So what you are going to do is list 5 tips to effective workplace etiquette, explain the type of workplace to which these etiquette tips apply. So for example, I have wearing flip-flops in a business office, so it's not appropriate business attire, but wearing them to a lifeguard is very appropriate. And then I would cite my source, really making sure you're explaining why your tip is important, and following the rubric means you are responsible to be 2 or more sentences long. And then you're going to comment at least 2 tips of your classmates have shared. Once again, making sure your response is 2 or more sentences long. Do you agree with their tip? Why or why not? Okay. If you need help with APA formatting, please once again, always reach out. You are then going to look at this graphic organizer, which isn't open yet because the time hasn't set. But the graphic organizer will be, let's go through here. Under Unit 2, employee rights. Beautiful. You're going to open this link. You're going to use the links provided below here to fill in this chart. You need 1 point underneath each section. You are more than welcome to write short form bullet point as long as you get the key important information to answer what is the ESA, what is the LRA, what is the OHSA, and what is the Pay Equity Act. So as long as you have one serious bullet point underneath each of these sections, so telling me, is it provincial or federal? You just have to write provincial, federal. And who does this act apply to? Who is it? Employees? Is it employers? Is it bystanders? You tell me. And then up here, what is it? What does this legal legislation do? Okay. As always, if you need due dates, they are found in the checklist function up here. I'm here to help. Please reach out.